Welcome to Crappens. Don't wait a week for a new video. Join our Patreon at the Crappens On Demand level for instant recap access. Link in description. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Watch Our Crappens, a podcast about all that crap on Bravo that we just love to talk about. I'm Ben Mandelker, and joining me today for part one of a two-part below deck sailing extravaganza, it's Mr. Ronnie Karam. Hi, Ronnie. How are you?
Well, hello.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Just enjoying this ride on a sailboat today. Just, riding through the waves.
Ben has a moving background now.
I'm moving.
It's very, very fancy.
No, I'm on a boat. I'm like totally on a boat right now with a great like outdoor podcast set up. It's great. I love it.
If we could do this from a boat, I would like to think I would be on one right now.
Oh,
but unfortunately, no one on Earth in this day and age has figured out Wi-Fi at sea. Could we get some T-Mobile towers? That would be great.
Yeah, seriously.
For the world. What the hell?
Seriously. Anyway, as you could probably tell, we are on video. So if you want to see that video before anyone else, go to patreon.com/watchourcrappens and support us on the Crappens On Demand level. You will get access to all our videos a week before they go onto YouTube. And then once they're on YouTube, everyone can see them. So that's always exciting. And then you get access to our bonus episodes. This week, we have a bonus episode that we recorded next to a brioche doré in Chicago O'Hare Airport over the past weekend. So that was a lot of fun for us. Additionally, we are here at the end of our tour. Okay, we've got two stops, I should say, spots as well. And then that's it. Then the tour's over. It's now or never for everyone. On Friday, we're going to be in Boston at the Wilbur, and we're going to be doing a recap of the latest episode of Real Housewives of Orange County. And then the next night, we're going to be at Foxwoods for our grand finale, celebrating the Cheetah Brand Tour with the ultimate cheetah, Tom. Not Tom Sandoval, but it's the It's About Tom episode from Real Housewives of New York, classic episode. Technically, that is Season 8, Episode 19, Tomfoolery. It's on Peacock. Just do Google searches for it. We're excited to recap it. It's an amazing episode. It's gonna be a great energy in that place. So come join us. Go to watchcrappens.com to get your tickets, and let's end out this tour on a high note. It's gonna be an amazing time.
All right. Well, here we are with Below Deck Sailing Yacht. This episode is Season 4, Episode 12, Let Them Eat Cake, is what it's called. So previously, Lucy passed university, which, I think everyone was pleasantly surprised by.
Yes.
I was surprised. I thought that they were going to call and say, nope, you didn't do it. But she did it. So that happened. And then Daisy admitted to Colin that she has slept with Gary after Gary said on camera, sleeping with you was amazing, because he wasn't getting any attention. So she was kind of forced into admitting it. Then Colin got really mad. And then Colin tells us, my heart says yes, but my brain says it has trouble written all over it. Your brain should have said, stop at a port somewhere and get a new engine, because yours is broken. Okay? Your brain has not said that. So I don't trust your brain, frankly. Your brain, all your brain really says is tape and hot glue. That's all I hear from your brain.
Yeah, this is very true. So where we pick up now, Alicia is making a new slice. First of all, let me make sure I'm on the right below deck notes, because last thing we need is me reading about the wrong one. But Alicia is making a slice of cake. Oh, that's right, because she made an amazing birthday cake, and then Daisy sliced up the remainders and gave it to the crew. Daisy, by the way, really fucking up. This love triangle has not been good for her. Okay, she's starting to get the Hannah edit. When Hannah starts to fuck up, the producers just make her look like the laziest one in the entire yachting industry. So Daisy is starting to get that edit now. But Daisy is legitimately fucking up left and right. And part of that fuck up is that she gave away the rest of the birthday cake. So now someone wants seconds. So
didn't give it away, ate it. Gave it to the crew, took it so that they could eat it. Okay?
Yeah, they ate the cake.
So they're eating it, and of course Kevin, who's the guy who loves the cake, and they always know that Kevin wants another piece of cake. The guests, they're like, Kevin, do you want another piece of cake? They didn't say, does anybody else want another piece of cake? They said, Kevin, do you want another piece of cake? Which I totally get because I'm that Kevin in my family where everyone's like, give it to Ronnie, you know? Like, hey, Ronnie, we were cleaning out the house and we found these Girl Scout Thin Mints from 6 years ago. Enjoy those.
Yeah.
You know? And what do they get? A thank you. That's what. Yeah. So Mads is trying to like cobble some cake crumbs together to make a whole thing. And the chef is kind of pissed, but she's like, you know, Chase and I did say they're going to want more cake. Let me just do it. So she's like molding cake together.
Yeah, she's taking the scraps, putting out this thin ass piece of cake. And then Daisy, meanwhile, is talking to Colin, and she's like, are you okay with me, Colin? And he's like, I mean, just trying to deal with it. My policy in life is honesty. And honesty is a big deal for me. That's my policy. I'm like a Hertz rental car, except instead of having a return policy, it's an honesty policy. So she's like, all right, great.
Mm-mm. So she's like, well, like, I agree with why you're upset. I get why you're upset, Colin. I get it. And I hate seeing her grovel. You don't owe this fucking guy anything, okay? And he's like, well, I'm just so exhausted as well. Look, I'm just over it. I'm really, really over it. And then Kevin gets his cake, and he looks at it and goes, it's little.
He's like, it's just 3 crumbs and a dollop of frosting on the side. So then Daisy's like, oh, Colin, in no way did I want this drama. And he's like, we'll be fine. She goes, are you okay with Gary though? And he's like, well, when someone does something like that to you that you would never do, it just makes it harder to understand. You know what I'm saying? She's like, all right then. So the last thing I want is for anyone to be hurt or our friendships to be affected by this situation. It's like, I mean, you know it's going to cause drama. I mean, let's be honest.
Daisy needs to stop with this. Like, either she needs to pick a lane. My lane is you don't owe him anything. No one owes you an explanation of who they had sex with, and you had a girlfriend. That's what I think it should be. But if she is going to do this whole, like, Colin, are you okay? And, like, baby Colin, okay, then do that. But don't then say, okay, well, I'm glad you're okay. But what about Gary? Like, you don't need to be sticking up for Gary or taking care of things for Gary. It's like your couple standing up for Gary in this conversation about Colin not being mad at you about Gary. Yeah. It's confusing. Don't do it. Don't do that. Leave Gary out of it. So then they hug, and they're like, Kevin, did you get your cake? I love that they just keep cutting back to Kevin's sad cake storyline.
I know.
And he's like, I ate it. I ate the cake.
So people are winding down. It's the evening, and there's like really awkward vibes between Colin and Gary in their room. And then Alex is like, he's standing on the, he's like at the edge of the deck, looking out into the water with Mads. It's like, see these big fish? They're trying to eat the school of small fish. Yeah. She's like, wow, you having a whole aquarium show down there. He's like, yeah, I know. I nerd out on this stuff. You know, not many people realize that big things like to eat small things, but now you know. Congratulations.
I love that that's his version of being a nerd, is just guessing what's going on, because it's probably not what's happening, okay? He's like, the big school's going to eat the little school. Maybe they're just fish swimming. You know what I mean? I feel like they're just fish swimming, and he's like, they're going to eat them. I'm a nerd.
I feel like it's like a lot of little fish gathering to see like an Adele fish at there's like a concert. It's like, oh my God, Adele fish is playing. We got to get together. And he's like, yeah, that big fish wants to eat them. It's like, no, the big fish is like literally putting on an amazing show right now for the little fish. Okay, the big fish is
Why are you
so
big
good.
fish shaming Adele?
No, meaning that Adele is like a diva superstar. And like the big fish is a diva superstar also, and like has an amazing voice. And like Alex does not appreciate it. Like that big fish is a gay icon.
Yeah, you leave that big fish alone, okay? I love her heartbreak music. So
I hate when that big fish got happy. It just wasn't the same.
Thankfully, it wasn't long last. It wasn't meant to last.
I hope that big fish gets into a relationship with the grouper, and then the grouper breaks her heart, so that way she just comes up with some great new music.
Adele will always be sad. That's why I like Adele. She's like heartbroken, even if she's happy with something. Because I think she's been with the same guy for a while now. So even if she's like happy, like her new songs will be like, "I lost my keys. I lost my keys.
I just
It'll
don't.
just be like heartbreak over just average things that you have to deal with as a couple. Like, I've already cooked dinner twice this week. Ask me out on a date already.
You use your own Tide stick on your pants.
Mm.
I just hope that she doesn't become a therapist like Alanis, because Alanis just has never really been able to tap back into that rage that she once had. Like, I've been waiting for something. I've been waiting for someone to do terrible things to Alanis for so long. Like when she and Ryan Reynolds were together, I was like, Ryan Reynolds, please break our heart in a devastating way so we get another jagged little pill. But no, she's like,
Instead, you
has a
got
good
the
perspective
Broadway
on
musical
life.
about Alanis, which is just
It's not the
not
same.
ragey at all.
It's not the same. Anyway, so Alex is saying how he's like, I know I should work, but I'd rather hang out with Mads and like look at fish and tell her about fish. He just wants to go in there and snorkel. So he's basically not working overnight.
Yeah. So then he goes, "Whoa, there's a big one." She's gone. He just keeps pointing out obvious things in the ocean. He's like, "Look, it's a fish." God, I'm a nerd. So then it's now 2:43, and we watch him hosing down the deck and kind of folding stuff up, and then we see him sitting around in the wheelhouse. And then it's the last day of charter at 6:15, and Daisy's taking coffee orders. And Chase takes the chef a coffee, which on Bravo is like the ultimate in a male attention. Okay.
Yeah.
On Bravo, when a man brings you coffee, you might as well marry him.
Yeah, you really should. So he has like a crush on Alicia. That's like the new thing. So he's being like really nice to her and bringing her stuff. And then Glenn is upset because there's a dirty scupper. You know, what else is new on this show? The scuppers. By the way, Glenn is angry about dirty scuppers. How about this? You got a broken engine. Be angry about the engine. Okay, Glenn? How about you get your engine checked before your scuppers? So yeah. I'm like all mad. I'm like, I've worked myself up into a tizzy about that fish situation.
So he's like, yeah, hello, could you do the scuppers on the fly bridge? And Chase is like, yes, sir, yes, sir. And he goes, well, it should have been done last night. I don't know why it wasn't. And then it cuts to Alex. Oh my, this is a first. Did you notice this? We cut to Alex in bed with a big boner, and then it pulsates. We get the boner like flag move.
I did not notice
boner
that.
Twitch. Did you see it?
I did not notice that, and I will have to go back and see it.
It was amazing. I would just like to say thank you, Bravo. I've never seen a boner twitch on Bravo. It was
That's really great work.
History. It was history.
That's very exciting. By the way, I think I'm gonna turn off my sailboat. My sailboat is in a little bit of a choppy waters, and I'm afraid it's actually gonna make people watching seasick because it's literally going up and down intensely. So pardon me while I change to a more humble sailboat situation. I'm gonna cop onto your boat, Ronnie, if that's okay.
So Alex is like, everything's fine. Like everything is done. Scuppers are done. They went to bed at 2:30 and they got up at 6. And that wasn't the truth, okay? That was a memory I just had. So Gary's getting dressed now, and he's telling us, because Colin's still ignoring him, and he's like, I've never lost a friendship over a girl before. And if you're willing to throw a friendship away over this, then clearly I didn't mean that much to him.
Says Gary, who's always willing to throw friendships away over girls. Like, that's literally all he does. Like, the hookup is what matters the most to Gary, okay? And now all of a
So
sudden,
Gary has a cut on his eye and some like bruises and a cut on his forehead. Did you see that? Did someone finally beat the crap out of Gary? Because I'm waiting. I would love that. And he looks pretty roughed up. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Maybe he like tried to have sex with like a rose bush or something. He's like, hello, lady, I love frizzy hair. Oh, little prickly, aren't you? Okay, here comes daddy. He's wasted. So, so Gary saying that thing is ridiculous. So now Chase is he's showing Gary how the boat was all messy, like the scuppers, etc. And he's like, you know, it wouldn't bother me, but it's just that Glenn comes to me and he's like, the scupper should be done by now. And like, you know, if I only had like a few hours to clean overnight, I'd focus on the obvious shit, like picking crumbs up off the floor, like, you know, things like that. I'm just like a little pissed at this point in the season, and Alex, you know, he should know better.
Yeah, and Gary should have told him what to prioritize by now, because That's Chase's thing where he's constantly trying to like undermine Gary's leadership. Now, he's correct, I have to say, because usually on this show people do that and they're not correct. They're idiots. But he's correct. And Gary is not only not teaching Alex properly, he's purposely trying to start shit between Alex and Chase. Gary's the worst, is the point. So Daisy's like, good morning. And Colin says, good morning. Thanks for checking on me. That's a real big thing. Okay. You know what, Colin? I'm sick of you. I've had it with Colin. Colin's too sensitive. Colin's like one of those emo sensitive guys. And I think there needs to be a balance between the Garys and the Collins of the world. Gary's too horrible and gross. And Colin's too, like, in his fee-fees about somebody that he, like, made out with once. You know what I mean? Like, I'm officially sick of listening to Colin fucking whine and getting emo about shit. There, okay? And if you want to continue getting emo, go stand at the edge of the boat and listen to the Adele fish fucking cry all night, okay? Because I'm no longer listening to you.
So Daisy tells the guests that they're throwing a party for Lucy tonight for her graduation. And then Lucy's like FaceTiming her friends. And she's like, oh, have you graduated yet? Are you graduating yet? And they're like, no, we only just put on our gowns. We've only done it right now. And they're like, of course, wearing like hot dogs on their head and like smocks or whatever. Because that's what I imagine Lucy's friends all do. They just always wear just like the wrong things. I just imagine them all just like running into each other and bopping into glass doors and knocking their heads. Like, oh, I put a hot dog on instead of a motorboard. I'm such a silly fool.
Yeah. And they're in their cap and gowns. And she's like, yeah, it might not be at my graduation, but that's laughing your turn. I'm ready for tonight, though. I want to have some shots and get drunk. And the girl's like, have fun, yeah, graduation.
So then down in the crew mess, Gary is telling Daisy that his shorts are chafing. He's like, blah, 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 rough on that, blah, blah, blah. And Colin just like walks in on them while they're talking. And he's like, Moody, walk past. So he walks past all Moody. And then he like stands to the side and listens in on them while Gary's like, do you have any rash cream? I'm being serious. Blah, 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 blah. I need some rash cream right now for my nuts and balls for where they're chafing. Colin's listening.
And Daisy's like, oh, like deep heat in your bowls. And he's like, no, I've done that but before, and then I touched my winky, and it might go to that. And they're laughing, and Colin is like, just listening, like, ew, they're talking about a winky. Like, they're talking about ball rash, okay? You fucking crybaby. Jesus.
They're talking about rash cream. She doesn't talk to me about rash cream. So then they dock. It's time to dock, throwing the lines out and everything. It's the whole process. They get into port, they dock, they line up, the guests come out, they thank them. They especially, the primary especially is grateful to Alicia for making the Johnny cakes because it reminded her of her mother. And then they leave, and Glenn's like, hold on 1 second, I'm going to do something. I bet you won't know what it is. Honk. Oh, God, funny every time.
So then Gary and Alex are talking, and Alex is like, okay, tell me how great I am. Guys, Gary's about to eat me. I'm like a total nerd with, like, human interactions. So I'm not going to eat you. I'm not going to eat you. All right, but here's what I'm going to tell you. Chase was not happy this morning. I'll tell you that, buddy. He's like, really? Fucking cuck?
Whoa, what's up with the... Like,
when did that
right-wing insulting? Wow. Okay. Sure. Oh, he's like fucking
really
non-Newsmax watcher.
I was not prepared for that.
I know. Cuck. Oh my God. So then Alex goes to Chase. He goes, so were you upset with the boat this morning? And she's like, well, it wasn't the best. I mean, and then he goes, fuck me, man. I didn't expect Gary to run to Alex and be like, hey, Chase said that you suck. I mean, come on.
Well, Chase, he's already done this to you multiple times. Okay? Yeah. So I don't know why you would be surprised that he did that. So Alex is like, what part looks bad? And he goes, oh, well, you know, food all over the sun deck floor. And like I told Gary, you did only have 3 hours max. And he goes, yeah, exactly. Like you told Gary. Gary's like, yeah. He just burps really loudly. And he goes, fuck me. It's professional Gary.
He's like, well, it's not like I can be upset with you, but there was food all over the floor where they were sitting. And Gary goes, well, suck it up, buttercup. Which I'm like, I don't know what that had to do with anything. So Chase is basically like Gary's making me look like a tattletailing bitch. And it's not me being mad. I'm just prioritizing that where they get up and they sit should be spotlight. Hey, it's just advice. It's just advice that I'm giving you. Alex is like, thanks.
Advice taken. And he goes, but Gary's the boss. And he goes, and Gary's like, well, I'm happy with everything. Everything's going great for me. And Alex is like, yeah, you know what? I shouldn't have to hear it from Gary the way Chase feels. But like, whenever I have to say, I say to someone. And I would expect Chase and our head of department to do the same. But I think I'm dealing with a lot of small dick energy.
In other words, cucks. A whole bunch of cucks. Am I right, guys? So then we get this random Southern Charm music. Did you notice that they were playing music of like Craig driving down Main Street in Charleston?
They do it for the rest of both of these episodes that we
What was up with that?
It turns into Southern Charm. It's really weird. It's not like Southern Charm hint music. They literally took just the Southern Charm music and put it into Below Deck Sailing. No. That's not how that works. You don't just go to a show and just start stealing their music. Next thing we're going to hear that. What is that one?
Yeah, when Atlanta stole that from Salt Lake City and then they never played it on Salt Lake City again. I was so mad. And we even heard a few weeks ago, one of these shows started playing Salt Lake City music. They had like the bells, like the... I was like, what? Like, listen, I know you're all part of the Bravo umbrella, but this music has to be siloed. You cannot liberally take from these different music libraries, okay? Southern Charm music is on Southern Charm, and Below Deck music is on Below Deck.
Yeah, because this one's like... They're
just cleaning.
All right, well, what a fun charter group we had today. I thought the service was really good. Alicia, the Caribbean dinner, they raved about that. I'd just like to say now is not the time where we take our foot off the pedal.
Even though that is a driving metaphor and we are on a boat, but, maybe a better thing would be like we got the wind in our sails, so let's, have smooth sailing going forward. That's 2 for 1 and appropriate because it's actually the vessel that we're doing, but I'll stick with the foot on the pedal thing too.
Also, maybe you shouldn't say it's not the time to get your foot off the pedal when you consistently crash into things. Like, It is literally the time for you to get your foot off the pedal, sir. Okay.
Yeah, let's work on that. So they get their tip, and it's like $20,000, and Lucy's like, I might not be graduating today. I might not be at graduation today, but at least we made $20,000. It's hard work, but it's hard industry that we work in, but it definitely pays off. And then she like falls out of her bed.
I know, just standing up. So then Chase goes in to help Alicia. Now, I don't know where this storyline came from that now Chase loves Alicia, but...
Yeah,
it's weird. I feel bad for Chase. I also feel bad for Alicia because who wants a Chase storyline? Literally nobody. But I feel like he's just making it up because nobody else is interested in him. And I feel like she's getting like clearance racked. And I'm offended for her.
Yeah, and she says, Chase is a sweetheart and he's like good looking and tall and he's got a good body. But my boyfriend has like all those things as well and he's like not annoying. So it's always tough to do long distance, but I'm pretty loyal. And I mean, by pretty, I mean, I am loyal. I guess what I'm trying to say is, this storyline's not going to work for me, producers. So maybe we should move on to something else. Thank you.
Try. Listen, I've got a tall, handsome, smart man as well. And he's got a feathered beaver-do. So I'm going to stick with that. All right. We see a picture of him and he's like, ooh. So then Daisy and Gary, she's like, so Gary, just wanted to check on you. How are you and Colin? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And she's like, well, I was thinking of having a chat with you, boss. Oh, for fuck's sake, you drama queen.
That's ridiculous. Why are you having the chat? That's between them. You don't need to have the chat. So Gary's like, oh, we don't need that. I think it'll blow over, blah, blah. And so then we see Chase lying down in bed and hoping, he's like, I just hope that Alicia's going to join me in this bed. And Gary's like, well, she says she has a boyfriend, but why don't you go and try to explore it? Because when a woman has her own boundaries, that means that you can just pave right over them, right? Blah, blah.
And Chase is like, well, I'll tell you what, if she crawled into this bed, I definitely wouldn't kick her out. Hoo-wee! And Gary's like, me neither. And he goes, I'd kill you. You can't have them all, Gary. And he's like, I just want Mads.
So now Mads and Daisy are setting up the graduation party, and Daisy's like, Lucy has made it very clear to us that she's sad that she's not home for graduation. So we have her family on FaceTime, and we put out all sorts of mattresses so if she falls over, she won't get hurt. And I think we can bring the graduation to her.
So Lucy comes up, and everyone's cheering. And she's like, oh, hi, Grandad. And they have her cap and gown for her. And she's like, this is the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me. And to have my granddad here. He's 94.
I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. And then she like bunks her head. Where am I? What just happened? What am I doing here? You just graduated. Did I now?
So Daisy, okay, so now it's time to go out. So Daisy gets in, she insists on going in one cab with Colin and Gary, and everybody else has to share the other one. So she's like, all right, I thought it might be nice to spend time together. I feel like we've lost a bit of focus as we're in this together, and I want to remind us, here we are, our team, in it together.
Oh, yeah, well, we're our team, so like, we'll keep it up. And so like, how do you feel, Colin? He's like, about what? Because about everything. He's, well, this was a massive stitch up. That's what I think is a stitch up. Well, I wanted time with my fucking boys, and this is my time to do it. Well, I think that a crew night out is, I guess, the best time to do this. Am I right, huh?
No, he's like, this isn't the best night to do this. I mean, it's a night out. I was like, why wouldn't your free time? I love that Colin only wants to talk about their relationship when they're on the clock, and he's literally supposed to be running a boat. He's like, what? Why would we talk about this? We're not at work.
He only wants to discuss it when he's surrounded by gauges, when he's in that random room, like the engine room with all the gauges around him in his like little corner. He's like, I would only like to talk about this if I'm facing away from the camera and you have to come around me and wrap yourself around my body. Then we can talk about it.
And Gary's like, awkward. Honestly, I don't like having conflict with anyone. I'm not good with confrontation. I'm very nervous.
And then in the other van, Mads is like, I'd be down to start some drama if me and Alex made out.
And Alex is like, that would start drama. And he kisses her cheek. And she's like, hey, I was down for it. Like a real kiss. Oh, yeah. Sorry, but you Gary'd yourself. No one's going to want to kiss you after you kiss Gary. I mean, it's like public health. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like walking through an airport coughing and then trying to make out with somebody, in the seat line. Nobody wants to make out with you, buddy.
No one. So then like Mads and Lucy kiss Alex. They have like a little three-way kiss. It's a small one. And then the crew, they get to the restaurant. They're sitting at the table. And then it's like, cheers to Lucy for being a smart, beautiful woman who just fell out of her chair. And Gary then says to Colin, like, cheers, pussface, blah, 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 blah. And then most importantly, we cut to Glenn back in the boat playing chess with himself. He's like, oh, God, this is really hard.
They're playing classical music. It's like,
the Nutcracker.
This is real hard. So then the food is delivered, and then we cut back to the captain, and he's like, yeah, baby. He turns it back around.
So then Gary pulls Colin for a chat. He's like, all right, I'm going to tell you how I feel. All right. So, like, Colin, I got to be honest with you. Like, I'm sorry someone lied to you. I'm sorry I lied to you. And, like, I'm sorry I lied. But it was a catch-22 for me, as in I was trying to catch 22 girls, and I was on my 21st, and the day was almost over, so I need to get my 22nd, and Daisy was there. So that's how it happened.
And Colin's like, you're a pussy, bro. You should have just said the truth. And lied to her and broke a promise. Oh, am I not a gentleman? Like, you did. But you did lie to her, and you did break a promise by mentioning it on national TV, you dick.
Gary, why are you trying to sound like an upstanding citizen? You're like the human version of the goo they have to crawl through on Big Brother in those challenges. So Colin's like, he's
right.
Like,
I know. I'm expecting them to spill you onto somebody on the Nickelodeon channel.
I know. Okay. I'm expecting a taxi to drive through you and you splash over Melanie Griffith in Working Girl. Okay.
So he's like, well, I lied to her and broke a promise. And he's like, you should have said to her, hey, Daisy, seeing as how you and Colin are now hooking up. Well, I say it's a beautiful thing, and I realise that. And he goes, and then you hooked up, and you hooked up, and you hooked up, and you said to me, all right, I lied to your face. And he goes, and I would never have done that to you, and that's why I'm hurt. Because it's all friendship, bro. Yeah, but Colin, you're also the town gossip. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I would tell Colin anything.
Well, Gary's like, well, do I feel like a puss for lying to you? Yes. And is there anything happening between us right now? Absolutely not. Is she applying rash cream to my balls later on this evening? Absolutely yes. And that's the bottom line. Nothing happening between us. And Colin's like, he hasn't really respected mine and Daisy's relationship, and it's unfortunate. But I have to take everything he says with a pinch of salt and also a little bit of deodorant. And I don't know what to believe.
Well, me neither, because you're not in a relationship. You've made out like twice. Like you've slept in the same bed. I don't know where this whole like you're in a relationship thing is. Now, that said, Colin's on my nerves today, but I do feel that he's right that Gary's obviously not respecting it, right? Because every time
Yeah.
he turns around, Gary's trying to hit on Daisy just to upset him, you know?
Yeah.
So Gary's like, well, listen to me. I've been a dick to people the majority of my life. And if I can keep one person's promise, then let me show them I can keep the promise. And then lie to another friend about it. You know, where am I going to go? It's a lose-lose situation. You didn't keep the promise.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's
Let's
the
stop
thing.
pretending that you kept the promise. So if you're going to break the promise anyway, you might as well have been a good friend while you broke the promise. Because now you broke the promise, you're a bad friend to Daisy and a bad hookup, and you broke the promise and you're a bad friend to Colin. So it's like you were true to nobody.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it was a lose-lose situation, which is ironically enough what every girl says after they sleep with me. So then Alex is asking Mads if she has feelings for Gary, and she's like, I'm just like trying to like have fun and like enjoy myself, and like Gary is making it like so much more intense than it needs to be. Like I definitely won't be like angry at him for a full episode after this, because like he's the one making it so intense. So Alex is like, is he enjoyable? She goes, well, at the moment, I mean, who else is giving me attention? Are you?
Mads makes me crazy too. Like this kind of person makes me nuts. Like, well, I've got to fuck somebody, and that's the only one giving me attention. Like, really gross.
Yeah.
What a gross way to live your life. Like,
Well-
had to fuck somebody. Well, then why don't you pick one and make an effort instead of just acting like a fucking, cupcake on a tray in the office waiting for someone to find you attractive enough to eat. You know what I mean? It's so weird, such a weird way to value yourself.
Listen, I support
Jump
her
in
being
someone's
horny
mouth,
and
muffin.
saying, listen, I support her being horny and being like, well, I'll bang Gary because, I'm horny. But what I don't like is when people are like, whatever, it's just like casual sex, who cares? And then they, of course, get feelings. I'm like, see? She's done a pretty good job. She's lasted longer than literally anyone else with Gary so far, but we are starting to see, especially in the next episode, that like you can see now Mads is getting attached. So Alex is like, I think Gary is very intimidated by me, and he thinks I'm gonna make a move or something, but which I'm not, to be honest, because like once you get involved with Gary, it's like a rock and a cuck place. Am I right? Gross.
Matt is like, yeah, but if Gary wasn't involved, like maybe then you'd hook up with me. And he's like, yeah, like you could have banged me or Chase, but you chose Gary. Duh. Like, why
Yeah.
does that have to be explained to you? It's so weird. So she's like, well, I mean, it was clear from day fucking one, and I knew that Alex was more of a flirt. I just made the wrong choice, and I put myself with Gary. I feel like I put a bomb to explode. I was like, yeah, but it's not like you just hooked up with Gary once and you're like, I regretted it. I don't understand why this guy won't give me a chance. Because like I would understand that, if like you drunkenly hook
she
up
keeps
with
going
somebody
back
a
to
few
him.
times. Yeah, but like you're currently hooking up with, like it's to the point where like you're like dating in a way, like everyone knows that you're hooking up. Like what's he supposed to do?
Right. Like she keeps on acting like, ugh, he's gross. He's so stupid. He's so needy. Like whatever. But then I'm like, then trade up for someone else. Although I don't really know if there really is any genuine trading up. Like at this point, Alex seems like a trade up by default, but is he really? We don't really know if he's a trade up at all anyway. I think so. Maybe like this is her best option. Who knows?
I think Alex is hotter. I don't know if it's a trade up because he's like literally fall down drunk every day. And I mean, I know they're like they're like out partying. Like I get that too, but he's like fall down drunk every day. And he also said cuck today. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe he's a
I
trade
don't know if he's a
sideways.
trade.
You know, maybe it's just like when one Uber is taking too long, you just get another Uber. It's not like you get a better Uber. You just get a
You
different
don't
Uber.
always need to trade up. You know what I mean?
Just trade.
Sometimes you just want like you just want a different flavor of Mentos. And that's why I get the rainbow. It's like first I have a strawberry and then I'll have the pineapple. It's not a trade up.
gross.
It's just still a Mentos.
Yeah.
But
And then
it's
I'm like,
different.
ugh, so gross.
great.
So it's a good metaphor because that's what I say about these guys too. Ugh, they're like fruit Mentos. So
I love those. But I made the mistake this weekend of getting, because that's my new thing. Because like I'm trying to be healthier lately, so I don't get like real fattening things at the airport, which used to be my thing. So now I'm like, I'm gonna get a Mentos. I'm gonna get a roll of Mentos. That's like my new favorite thing to do. But I never remember whether I like rainbow or fruit. And they look the same because they're multicolored rainbow fucking tubes. I don't know who's marketing over there at Mentos, but I accidentally got the rainbow, which apparently I hate because it's not fruit flavored. It's rainbow flavored. So it looks like the fruit ones, but it's like strawberry, but with dish soap in it.
Ugh.
And I was very upset. And I still ate every last one, but I was very mad about it.
Well, now I don't know if you can complain about Mads anymore because I think you just did. You're doing you did the Mads thing. You're like, you didn't like any of it. You still went back and you went through the entire roll. You went.
You're right.
You know, so you get it.
Yeah,
In many
you're
ways,
right.
you get it.
But I didn't
We
go
do
complain
things-
to the fruit roll after. You know what I mean? I accepted it.
The point is that we as humans, unfortunately, we go back to bad situations just because they're convenient and give us fleeting pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I should have
guess.
chose better.
Should have chose better. You could have had Mentos.
Oh, those are disgusting. I hate those. So you know what they need is like a caramel flavored Mentos, not actual but it's still 10 calories per Mentos thing. But
like a peanut
caramel
butter.
flavored chocolate. Peanut butter.
Yeah.
Peanut butter would be good. I've never
Like a
had a
chocolate peanut
sucker
butter.
candy that's peanut butter flavored though.
No, I don't think that there haven't been a lot of great innovations in that space. I feel like when it comes to sucking candies, people like to go to fruit. But maybe who knows? Maybe there's room for a peanut butter sucking candy. I may eat
there
butterscotch, which isn't peanut butter at all.
It's really not. So Daisy and Lucy are talking, and
Really not.
Daisy's being dramatic, and she's like, "This is weird. Everyone is coupled off. You are one of the ones. You're tripled off." So then Chase and Alicia are trying this storyline, and Chase is like, are they gonna go talk tea, or do they really think we're sitting here flirting with each other? Are we sitting here flirting with each other? Hoo-wee! And she's like, well, actually, they're gonna talk shit to each other because you and I can flirt all day long, and we'll still just be mates.
Oh, look at this. You know what I love about this table that we're sitting at? It's perfectly positioned right in the friend zone. I love that. Feel
It's
very
amazing
cozy
that
in
we
here.
can sit in the smoking section and the friend zone all at one time. It's like being in two different realities at once.
So what did you order for dinner? Because I ordered the ick. So I have the ick right now. What did you get, Chase? What's coming to the
I'm
friend zone for
sorry,
you?
but no matter what you ordered, you're never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get
Chase,
it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it.
you're my type on paper.
oh.
But imagine imagine a version of you that were like hotter and also more pleasant to be around. That's who I'm dating right now. Anyway, enjoy the friend zone with me. Never gonna get it.
So
Never gonna
back
get
to
it.
Lucy and Daisy. Lucy's like, "How was the van right here?" And Daisy says, "I don't think they've talked for days. And the most important thing to me is that they're okay. What am I going to do about Colin and Gary?" Oh, Daisy, please. So then back to Colin and Gary, who everybody knows they're going to be fine because they're
Yeah.
guys. We know
Yeah.
somehow this is all going to be your fault in about 20 seconds. So stop worrying about those two.
Yeah, they're just gonna fart and burp on each other, and then they'll hug and pretend like they never had an issue. And Colin's like, "Well, that van ride was scary. And Gary's like, yeah, it's all about her. Blah, blah. And then they're just being jokey. And Daisy sees them from afar. She's like, oh, God, I feel like a giant weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I'm so relieved that Gara and Colin are speaking again. Ha!
So then we cut to the captain in bed. He's going to bed. And Alex just lies around with boners, pretends fish are about to eat each other, and then when he gets out of bed, he just throws all of his blankets down onto the captain's bed. Like, who does that?
Yeah. Glenn, I'm sure Glenn cannot stand this guy. Well, ever since he tried to put a Yeti cup on Glenn's head in the first episode, Glenn's like, oh my God, this guy. So yeah, Glenn's like throwing his linens back up on the bed. He's like, for fuck's sake. So now everyone's in the vans going home, and there's like silliness and drunkenness, the usual stuff. And then as they approach the yacht, Gary is he's like, oh, come on, Lucy, let's take off our clothes and jump into water. Oh, let's do this, Lucy, blah, 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 blah. So they do that.
Yeah, they jump in, and then Gary's daring Chase and Alicia to kiss. And let's see. So Mads and Alex are talking at the bar. So Mads is like, oh, more people just in the jacuzzi right now. And he's like, well, it could just be me and you today. She's like, sounds good. Then Colin and Daisy are making out, and Gary comes in. He's like, oh, sorry, guys. Me and Daisy fucked. You know that already, right? You know that, right?
And then up on deck, Mads is FaceTiming her mom, and she's like, yeah, I'm really happy with my job, Mom. And then Gary comes in and goes, oh, there she is, hey. But she's ignoring him because she's FaceTiming. And so he goes, oh, you're pathetic. And so she goes, I'm pathetic? What? Can you call me pathetic for what? For what? Because I'm trying to speak to my family? Fuck off.
So Mads is going to try and make this the thing that she gets rid of Gary over.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because, again, she's going to try and have this moment with Alex in the hot tub. Last time she ended up going to bang Gary instead. And this time Alex has just fall down drunk. It's not going to work, right?
Right.
So she's in the mess now. She's like, what the fuck is happening? I'm on the phone with my mom. And then Gary walks by and says I'm pathetic. And Lucy's like, pathetic? He goes, yeah, because I'm not answering him because I'm on with my family. He tries to interrupt my family. It is over. We are done.
Right. Definitely not done. So then Alicia and Chase are hugging in the galley, and she's like, oh, thank you for helping me through my struggles and for being there as my friend. Friend, emphasis on friend. I almost feel like if we went to a school together, it would be the Sidwell Friends Academy in DC. That's probably where we'd go to school.
I wish we could go get a cone together. We can probably visit a friendlies.
Yeah, I think, let's go watch that show Friends right now. Sorry, it's not as clever as the other two, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Oh, sorry, we're moving backwards instead of forwards, but it's how we roll as friends. No one told you life was going to be that way. Your life's a joke. You're broke. Love life's DOA. I know it always feels like you're stuck in second gear. And it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. I'm going to go to bed and call my boyfriend that's just like you, but with Justin Bieber hair. Bye.
I'll be there for you as a friend. So Gary's lying in bed, and he sneezes, and he's like, yeah, there we go, bless me. And then Chase is like, oh man, Alicia's killing me, bro. She's hugging me and caressing me, and every moment I think she's about to make out with me, because that's what women do when they touch you. Oh man.
And Colin's like, yeah, that's called the friend zone. He's like, well, last time I saw you, you weren't alone. Who did you get laid? And he goes, who was I with? He's like, Daisy. She just had come in, and I was like, all right, I'll leave. Meanwhile, Colin is in bed with Daisy. Daisy's right sleeping right next to him. And he's like, wait, are you alone right now? And he's like, no. And he goes, oh, Jesus, there's two people in here. Good night, guys. I'm not coming back. And he tries to be upset, so he has an excuse to storm out and go sleep with Alicia. But she's like, "You're not getting in bed with me, Chase." And he's like, "Damn it."
Oh, I'm sorry. You need a passport to leave the friend zone. Unfortunately, I'm out of their jurisdiction, so you'll have to stay there. Sorry. So, she really does try to get into her bed, and she's like, no, no.
And
So
he's
then,
like, "I was kicked out of my bed. Can I get in with you?" No. Fucking go to Alex. Okay, go to Alex's bed. He's like passed out, like face down in the hot tub right now. He's probably dead. Okay, go sleep in his bed.
I know. So then it's 3 a.m. and Colin is snoring, and Daisy turns in and goes, Gary, stop. Why are you in my bed, Gary? It's like, oh, God.
Colin's like, "That's fucked up. I've never ever been mistaken for someone else in bed." And he goes, "What the fuck, man? Shut up." And she's like, "I'm not lying. I could see Gary's face there." And he's like, "Oh, God, this is such a blow to the ego. I mean, maybe she's actually thinking of him when we're fooling around. I don't know."
Well, let's think about it. Colin, when you last pooped, did you remember to wipe your butt? Because if you didn't, I could see why Daisy might think that she was in the bed with Gary.
So it's like, "Get out, goodbye." And she's like, "You're not gonna cuss me." And he's like, "You're an idiot. You're a stage 5 idiot, seriously." So she leaves. And then it's 8 in the morning, and Colin wakes up, and Chase
Everyone's
wakes
going
up
back
in
to
a
their
mess.
beds. Yeah.
And I love that poor Chase is being so dejected by literally everybody. And Gary's trying to make drama for him. Like, everything's going wrong for Chase. And his shirt says, "Fun in the sun."
Yeah. Yeah. So everyone's going back to their rooms, and Chase is like, "Hey Gary, I think Madison is mad at you." Gary's like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Cause I think you called her pathetic." He's like, "Oh, blah blah blah." So then Madison's telling Daisy about Gary, and Lucy's barfing in a bathroom and everything. And so Gary pulls Mads, and he's like, "So do you want to chat?" And she's like, "No." He's like, "Oh, she's pissed. Well, maybe she doesn't. Maybe she does like me. That it's affected her so much. You know, girls. That's how they. When a girl's mad at you, that means they're secretly in love with you. I think we all know that. Blah blah."
So she's like, "Why did you call me pathetic?" And he's like, "I've no recollection of that. She's told me this morning, and I'm really sorry about that." And she's like, "Well, I've literally never been called pathetic in my life."
Like, well, welcome to being on Bravo TV, because now there's probably a lot of people saying that about you.
Well, I'm glad they broke the seal, yeah, 'cause now you're on Bravo. So I'm sure you've heard it about 9 million times since then.
So Gary's like, "Well, is that at the end of the night?" And she goes, "Well, it doesn't matter if it's the end or the beginning of the night." He goes, "Well, of course it does, because I was shit-faced, so that allows me to say things like that." And she's like, "Oh my God, Gary." So she's really pissed.
And he's like, "But I'm showing her that I'm sorry and I apologize, and she still keeps a grudge." And so he goes to the mess, and he's like, "No, can't in this way. Come here." She's like, "No." He's like, "Well, I'm apologizing to you for something I've no remembrance for, but someone can walk up to you in my room while you're having sex and you just let it blow over." Okay, so you're trying to change the subject to Colin and Alex coming in while you were having sex in the guest room.
It's fucked up.
That's not.
She's like, "That's a whole other argument for right now that you don't want to start, because that pisses me off that you say that, and I let it fly. Okay, fuck off." And then she's like, "Sorry, Chase, by the way." He's like, "No, sorry, I'm here. I'm just eating my PB&J with no crust. Don't mind me."
So then the captain is telling someone on the phone, he's like, "I had some really weird dreams last night. Really weird." But we don't get to hear what they are.
Yeah, I was about to say, I couldn't remember what the actual dream was, but we didn't get to hear any of it.
I mean, last time wasn't he fighting with a donkey? I need to hear your
Yeah,
dreams.
he was. So then Gary goes up to Daisy, and he's like, "So, did you and Colin hook up last night?" And she's like, "Oh, we kissed." "Oh, just kissed?" She's like, "Why?" "Just wondering, blah, blah." So now there's like more cleaning, and Alicia's telling Colin that she eats burritos with Chase in the galley. I don't know why I wrote that down.
She's like, well, last night ended well. I was eating burritos in the galley with Chase. I guess it's supposed to like lend credence to this storyline that they're gonna have something, but they're not. So Gary and Daisy see each other in the hall, and she's got towels, and they're doing this like, oh, you pass, no, you pass, no, you pass, no, you pass, and they're like kind of giggling in the hallway, like
Getting in
having a
each other's way.
wacky, flirty moment, and Colin hears it and he's like, oh, I can't believe this. First she calls me Gary, now she's playing towel tango with Gary in the hallway. What am I supposed to think about this situation? It really hurts. It hurts me to my core.
I always think about when Colin and his girlfriend broke up once, and they like post like a black and white photo of each other on like Instagram that was like, "It's come to this, everyone. We've decided to uncouple," and it's like, lighten up, bro. I mean, no, you don't have to lighten up that you broke up, but like this doesn't impact us the way you think it does. So then, like it's like that kind of vibe. It reminds me of Storm from last season. Now, like I love Colin. Actually, I think Colin's great, and like he's one of my favorites. But I do feel like I can see him being really emo in a relationship and getting really serious and walking off onto a pier and looking out in the sunset like I just want to be left alone right now. Just like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it, theoretical
Yeah,
Colin.
apparently he's that guy. So let's see. So then Chase is talking to Alex and he's like, hey, can I tell you something? I had a ship this morning and it smelled just like a whiskey sour. And Alex is like, that is not what I thought you were gonna tell me, but awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. You ever see
you.
a big fish be near a little fish and think about how the big fish wants to eat the little fish? Yeah, it happens. So now Daisy and Colin are being more flirty because she's like, when you have time, I'm going to show you some stuff in the guest area. She's like, I'm not talking to you anymore because you were playing towel, touchy touch earlier in the hallway. Not going to talk anymore. She's like, fine. So then there's more cleaning, and Daisy is showing Colin some tasks that he can do to help her out, and he just sort of like snorts, and he's like, I'm going to throw stuff at you because of what you said last night. And she's like, what did I do? He's like, in the bed. She's like, oh yeah, I thought you were Gary. Well, because the two of you are in my head. Stop being in my head. You guys are both in my head. Why, you're in my fucking head, both of yous.
Get out of me fucking head. And he's like, oh, so you're saying we've been doing your head in? She goes, yeah, you've been fucking with me head. And he's like, this is unbelievable that you're giving me shit after saying something like that in bed with me. And she's like, Gary needs to be out of my head right now too. He goes, oh, Gary's in your head. Yes, Colin, Gary is in her head. You're hooking up with her when you know that she and Gary like each other. What exactly do you think is going to happen? You see how they act together? You think someone's just going to stop having that kind of energy because she made out with you? Was your tongue made of Hershey's? The fuck out of here.
Well, you're literally blaming everyone else for what's coming out of your mouth. You need to take accountability. She's like, oh, she storms off, which is the exact opposite of doing exactly what he asked her to do. So then Chase is now talking to Alex and saying
that she did take accountability. She said, I thought you were Gary. What more accountability do you want from her? She said, yeah, I called you Gary because I woke up and I thought you were Gary because you're both fucking with my head right now. That's called accountability, sir.
It doesn't mean if she's lying in bed and wakes up and thinks it's Gary. I'm sorry, you guys both have long hair. You guys probably both smell like fuel. And
you smell like fuel and salt water. Okay.
Yeah, and honestly, like she's hooked up with both of you guys, and she's stuck in a love triangle with both of you guys, and you guys are both stressing her out. So yeah, it's probably pretty fair that she would wake up and think that you're Gary. It's fair. So and that doesn't mean anything by it. Okay, so relax. So now Chase is sitting down with Alex, and he's
dark. You know what I mean? It's not like you were inside of her. It's literally in the dark, and she woke up and was like, "What are you doing there?"
It's dark. She's wasted. She's wasted, and she feels hair. And I'm sorry. Say what you will. Gary is the dominant hair force on this boat, whether we like it or not. If you think there's like long greasy hair sort of in your face, the first thing you think when you wake up, you're gonna go Gary. Anyone will do that. Doesn't matter if you're Irish or not, whether you're a man or a woman. If you feel something tickling on your hair and you're on a sailboat and you wake up, you're yelling Gary. Just the way it goes. The law of sailing.
Yeah. So Gary is talking to Mads now, and he's like, "Oh, Mads, I'm sorry. I have no idea why I said that." And she goes, "Honestly, you're just making me more annoyed by even being in here."
Yeah. And meanwhile, Chase and Alex, Chase is like clearing the air with Alex. He's basically saying like, look, like, you know, Gary's trying to make me look like a tattletale. I was just saying like, this is what it looked like. And going forward, I'm just going to come to you when there's an issue.
And he's like, "Yeah, it'd be like better if we cut out the little middleman. Like, we don't need Gary. The only reason there's problems with me and Chase is because Gary's mucking up the communication change. This thing is stupid." And then I think Chase said, "We'll peg in the showers tonight."
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that.
Sure.
I don't know if that's.
I
what he
didn't
said
hear
or not.
that, but I can imagine that coming out. He's like, well, struck out with Alicia, so let's try something different.
So Colin and Daisy are in the engine room, and Daisy's like, "Colin, I'm sorry." And he's like, "You need to figure some stuff out." And she's like, "It's just the boss like Gary started all of this." And he's like, "Well, what I want for you is to figure out what you want. I thought I made that very clear." And she's like, "But I do want you. Like, what the hell?" And he's like, "But if you want someone, you're not thinking of someone else." Oh, that's not true. I've been with people where all I do is think about other people, but I only do it to stay interested in that person. It's called making an effort.
Yeah, she's like, you know, he is so upset and offended that Gary's on my mind, but he's thinking of it like I'm thinking of Gary, but I'm like, no, I'm thinking about the two of you and our friendship and the mess that I'm in. So then it's time. Hey, preference sheet meeting for charter number 7. Elisa works in financing and wants to be serenaded by guitar under the Italian moon. So does anyone remember that girl from season 1 of this show? Can we find her? Okay, if not, we'll just use Colin.
Yeah. And Daisy's rolling her eyes, and Gary's like, because I'm sorry, Daisy's rolling her eyes. What am I saying? Oh, because they want to be serenaded under the Italian moon on this one. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "Oh God, give me a fucking break with these people." So they all agree that that's going to be Colin, but they want sushi day, and Alicia is going to get to do a chef's choice Capri style dinner, which she's excited. And they want a France themed party. And so the captain's like, "Well, we're not far from France, so let's take him to France."
Yes. So now it's nighttime, and Alicia and Chase are flirting some more, or more like Chase is flirting with Alicia. It's like a nothing scene, and I didn't write down any details about it because now it's morning, and like Gary farts, and he's like, "Oopsie," blah, 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 blah. And now it's cleaning, and now Gary goes up to Lucy, and he's like, "Morning, how are you, Luce?" She's like, "I'm good." And then Mads is like upset that he didn't say good morning to her, so she's like, "Morning." I'm like, okay, so here it is. You do care. For as much as you say you just want to get boned, woman's got needs, you're aloof. Look at you wanting the good morning from Gary.
Yeah, but
like,
Gary's doing that thing where he's like purposely going to ignore her now. He's going to like come in and say hello to the other person in the room loudly, but not her. Like,
right.
So it's so Gary, you know, but she falls for it, dummy. So she's like, "Yeah, I've said morning twice now. I mean, you can't be mad at me." And he's like, "Why would I be mad at you, Mads?" And Lucy goes, "'Cause you ignored her, bro." Gary's like, "But I'm mad at you." And she's like, "Oh, Gary's mad at everybody. He can only take a joke when he wants to take a joke, but nobody else can make a joke when they want to make a joke." It's like, oh,
that's true.
God. It's just so, that's so sad. It's like homely people who would never be fucking each other in the first place, fucking each other just out of convenience, and then getting mad at the other person for not being as attracted to them the same amount that they're not attracted to that person. Like, you're not into him. He's not into you. Can we just clean the fucking toilets? Just clean.
And now it's time for provisions. Chase calls Glenn sir at one point, and Glenn's like, "Okay, you know what? You can stop calling me sir. You can call me captain, but don't call me sir." He's like, "Yes, sir." So then Daisy's like, "Girls, the toilet is disgusting. Girls, this toilet's disgusting. Girls, have you done anything with this toilet?" The toilets on Parseval, I mean, there's been so much attention on the engines, but the toilets on this boat, also a disaster.
Yeah, apparently. So they are getting they're getting in the lineup to give champagne and welcome the guests and stuff. So Gary's walking with the captain, and the captain's like, "What is that? Is that water on the ground there?" He's like, "Oh, it just probably hasn't dried yet. Probably hasn't dried yet." And he's like, "Wait, is that water? Is it oil? What is it? Because it's lingering. What is that?"
He's very focused on this little spot of water that's like on the teak. He's like, "What is that water? Why is that water calling me sir? I'm captain, not sir."
I'm going to punch that donkey in the face. I mean, that water spot. So the captain's like, at this point, I have very high expectations. And I'm very happy with what they're doing. And I want to I want to finish this strong. Yeah, I need to finish this strong. So he's telling the crew, like, stay positive, guys. We're getting through this. These guys are going to have the time of their lives. And then we hear a gay going, I have resting bitch face. If I'm not smiling, I look like I'm going to murder someone.
Some girl goes, "Me too." It's like, "No, Lauren, you don't have resting bitch face. You're smiling right now, naturally." So then the guests arrive, and we meet Alyssa, the primary, and Tim, who's the gay, and then various other ladies. They go on the boat tour, and they leave the port. The lines come up, all that usual stuff. And then Daisy is offering the gay oysters, and he's like, "Oh my God, I thought I loved you, and now I'm just gonna marry you." And she's like, "What a bitch, look at that face."
So the wind is borderline for sailing, and the guests are taking pics and stuff. And he's like, "Oh," Alex passes by, and he's like, "Oh, sorry about that, guys." And Tim's like, "Oh, I'm good with you in it. Come on, Alex, get back in here." And Elisa's like, "Yeah, if he wants to take off his shirt, that would be fine too."
Yeah. So that's just like the usual, like fresh on board hors d'oeuvres going around. And then they put the anchor down on a patch of sand. And what could go wrong? Everything's nice. And they're just sort of like hanging out there. But there's like this smaller boat that's very close. And it's getting closer and closer. And Gary's like, Glenn, Gary, we're pretty close to this boat behind us. I think we're dragging anchor right now. Blah, blah, blah.
And I like that there's one guest who knows, like, this is how she's like, we're a little close to that boat. I'm surprised we're so close to that boat. Does anybody who works here see that the boat's coming closer? Okay, we're going to die. We're going to die on this. Anybody? And the crew is just like, we're coming close to the boat. And the captain's like, well, maybe. I don't know. Do you think we're dragging? What's going on? It's like, can somebody please turn on the boat and move it?
Just move the boat. How about this? Bring up the anchor and move the boat out of the way. But they're like, oh, wow, I think we're dragging anchor. And Glenn's like, can you go backwards, little boat? Anyone? And it's getting closer and closer. And they're like, can we drop chain? Drop chain. And by the way, you know what pissed me off so much about this? This little boat that's just sitting there. As the big boat's getting closer, they're like, we're going to put out our fenders. They put these two little testicles on the front of their boat. I was like, is that supposed to help anyone? Those two little balls? It's like putting out beach balls.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I think we're protected now.
This is going to need more than that. Okay. And that brings us to the end of Below Deck Sailing Yacht. Come back tomorrow. We will do the next episode. I don't know what Bravo's doing with this show because it's the second week that they've doubled up. And next week they're doubling up too. So I don't know if nobody's watching this.
I think
but I like
I feel like they're rushing. Like, I feel like they changed their schedule and they're rushing to get to like Below Deck Down Under because that's coming out in July. So I feel like they're kind of like speeding through this. I don't know. I don't care. Tune in for the next episode to find out whether or not Parseval sinks and in a fiery shipwreck with a tiny boat.
Yeah.
Who knows? Stranger things have happened. So thanks everyone for being
I'll tell
here.
you what, we'll be here tomorrow to tell you all about it. Okay? So
Yeah. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.